I'm going to give you 3 questions here that are a revision of what we've done. Now, guys, remember, we have done 3 reasons so far, as I've already said. We have looked at angles around a point, which must equal 360 degrees. Don't know how to write without my whole finger covering the camera. And we have learned angles on a straight line that must add up to 180 degrees. We have also looked at in the last lesson the fact that vertically opposite angles are equal. So if none of this rings the bell to you, remember, videos on the website you can go and watch. So I'm going to put all 3 of them up for you, and I would like answers to those questions. So I'll give you a few minutes to have a look. If you are feeling brave, we'd love some hands raised, and we'll pick some people to do each of the questions. In question 1, I'm looking for X. In question 2, X and Y. And in question 3, X. Right, so use those reasons. See if you can find the values there. Oyanda's already on it. And then pop your answers in the chat or raise your hand. And if you have questions, shout. These are reasons we have done. So this is just a bit of a recap for everyone. Oh, I'm seeing so many studious faces here. Well done.
Yeah, guys, take screenshots. This is like a cheat sheet, they call it, okay, for these 3 rules that you already learned. So let's go. Emmanuel, I'm coming to you. Emmanuel has an answer for us. Yes, Emmanuel.
Hi, everybody.
Good evening.
I've got the answer for question 1.
Okay, tell us.
I wrote X equals 85 degrees because it's vertically opposite.
Perfect.
Hey.
Well done.
Well done.
Right. So exactly, guys. Question 1, nice and straightforward. We know that we've got that lovely cross shape there, which means that the angles opposite each other are equal in size. So that means that X is equal to 75 degrees. We don't have to do anything else there. That's it. And remember your reason. Okay.
Okay, number 2. Who's ready? Who's ready for number 2, my babes? I can see some answers dropping down in the chat. So Litabo, I'm just gonna come to you because this is a recap, remember? So you guys should know it like this, and Teacher Sam is giving us a cheat sheet. So let's do this. Litabo, we are all yours.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
So for the angle for Y is 45 because vertical opposite angles.
Perfect.
Yay.
You
So
can keep
then
going, I'll catch up.
3x is equal to 45 degrees.
Why is it equal to 45?
Because we were looking for the value of Y.
Okay, so yeah, so we've said that that is equal to that, but why, and maybe let me change colors. Why are you now saying that 3x is also equal to 45? Are they equal?
Ma'am, I don't know how I got 3x is equal to 45.
Litabo, which other reason can you see that it's gonna match the 3x with 45? What can we use there? Look at your reasons and which one do you think we can use?
Angles on a straight line.
Yes.
Well
Got
done.
it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Finish it up.
How would you set it up now?
So 3x plus 45 is equal to 180 degrees.
Well done, yes. And as you said, angles on a straight. Cool. Do you want to carry on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So then it's 180 degrees minus 45.
Good.
And the answer is 135.
Good.
Then you divide by 3 on both sides.
Good.
Yes.
And the answer is 45.
Well done. Woo.
Ooh, get in
Well
there,
done,
get in there.
Tabo. That was
Well
a hard
done.
one. Dad.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, guys, exactly. We would need to use angles on a straight line in order to go and find X. And that's sort of where we're heading in using multiple reasons in one question as questions get slightly harder. Right, who wants to try question 3?
We can do this, my people. Woo. Kayalihle is like, I'm here, ma'am. Yes, Kayalihle. Teach us, go.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, for number 3, I said x equals 90 degrees minus 50 degrees.
90 or 94?
94, sorry, ma'am, 94 degrees.
Good. Right, so X is equal to 90 minus, sure, and I did exactly the same thing. 94 minus 50 degrees. What's your reason there?
Ma'am, angles, right angles, ma'am.
We need help.
No,
Maybe let's look at the chats. They can help you.
Vertical opposite angles.
Yes,
Well
girl.
done.
Well done.
Vert up angles equal. Excellent. Cool. So what is X equal to?
44 degrees.
Perfect. Well done.
Yes. Well done, my pimps. Look at us. We are done with revision. We're getting to the work of today. Yep, I'm excited. Well
Okay,
done,
well
guys.
done. Alrighty, guys. So that's sort of, as Yolanda said, recap what we have know. Short, no, that was horrible English. I'm very sorry. What we know. And so those are essentially the 3 geometric reasons that we currently have. Can you all see my screen here with the reasons laid out? Or am I still on the examples? Okay.
You can see it.
Perfect. So this is like your cheat sheet that Yolanda was talking about earlier. These are all the reasons that you need to be writing down on like a separate piece of paper so that you always can refer back to it. What we're going to have a look at today is some parallel lines and the relationships they create with angles. Okay, so there's quite a bit that's going to go on and we're going to work through it slowly, do some examples, and hopefully we will be comfortable with parallel lines. Alrighty, so let us have a look. Take your screenshot of the examples if you haven't already done that while I'm here. And let us see. Okay. So like I said, what we're going to have a look at today is working with parallel lines. Now, guys, all this is me just very quickly explaining what parallel lines are and how we identify them on a diagram. So if you have not worked with parallel lines before, this will be quite useful to you. If you have, then you know what we're talking about. So parallel lines are basically lines that will always stay the same distance apart from each other. So what that means is that those lines will never start to like come towards each other and they'll never touch or cross or intersect. They will always remain the same distance apart. They will never meet each other. That is sort of their relationship. Okay, now when we are working with diagrams, we know that sometimes we use like little marks or symbols to indicate things. Parallel lines is the same. So firstly, if I ever use parallel lines as a reason, the symbol for that is 2 like slanted lines. So they sort of look like 2 parallel lines. That is also very badly drawn. I'm sorry, let me try again. Okay, that's a bit better. That's my symbol for parallel lines. The way they are indicated to you on a diagram is with an arrow. Okay, so that would be telling me that the line AB is parallel to CD. And I'm just going to highlight that for us so that we can see exactly what we're working with. So those arrows tell me that those 2 lines are parallel because they both got 1 arrowhead pointing in the same direction, telling me that those lines are running parallel to each other. If we have more than 2 sets or more than 1 set rather parallel lines, all I would do to indicate a different set is use 2 arrowheads or 3 arrowheads, right? So here, the line EF is parallel to GH, and I'm sort of separating it or distinguishing it from the other parallel lines by using 2 arrows instead of 1. And so now if I go and highlight those for us, we can see, as I've said, EF is parallel to GH. Okay, so that is what it will look like on a diagram, parallel lines. You will have these little arrows on the line. That is telling you they are parallel. As I said earlier, if you ever want to state that lines are parallel, we use the symbol. So in this case, we would say line AB is parallel to line CD. And we can also state that line EF is parallel to GH. So this is just some notation stuff that we need to be mindful of when working with parallel lines. Okay, so I just want to take a step. Is everyone happy? Is everyone followed me? Just give me a thumbs up, thumbs down before I carry on and look at our reasons that we're going to work with here. No thumbs up, no thumbs down.
Keep them coming, guys. I can see them. There is. Okay.
Yes.
Remember, to those of you that feel a little bit fuzzy about the work, it's because it's still new, so it's completely understandable. And the teacher Sam will do a lot of examples for us to understand. Okay. So I'm sure you're gonna get this at the end of the day. And actually, most of you understand, which is really impressive. Well done, guys.
Okay, cool. So, excuse me. Now we actually want to go and look at how these parallel lines form like special relationships with certain angles. Now, this will look like a lot to start with, but we're going to go through one by one. I've just put them all together because this is how I remember it. So there are three interesting facts that occur with angles that will only ever happen with parallel lines. So again, it looks like a lot, but we're going to go one by one. I've put them all together because the way I remember parallel lines and their reasons is fun. Now, the F, the U, and the N are just like shapes and letters that we can look for in a diagram. So we're going to start by looking at this very first one here, the F sort of shape. We'll come back to the others. These are corresponding angles. So basically what it says to me is if I have parallel lines, so in this case, A, B, and C, D, being cut by a third line. Now that third line is what we call a transversal. But basically, if there's a third line cutting the two parallel lines, the angles created sort of in the corners of the F shape I now get are equal to each other. Okay, so when I'm working with something that looks sort of like an F, I'm working with corresponding angles. So much like any reason in geometry or anything we do in geometry, we have to have a reason for our statements. And so our reason here would be corresponding angles. Now, guys, we always, when working parallel lines, have to state which parallel lines we are working with. This is because if we have multiple sets of parallel lines, you need to be able to tell your marker which one you are working with. So what I like to tell my kids that I teach as well is when you are writing geometry reasons and stuff, sort of treat whoever's marking your stuff as if they don't know anything about geometry. So always be very, very clear about what you're doing. You don't want to lose marks for a silly thing like not putting in a proper reason or something like that. Okay. So those are corresponding angles. Like I say, we'll come back to the rest in a second. Let's have a look at an example of how we use corresponding angles. Whoops. Okay. So example 1. When we're given something like this, first thing we just want to have a look at is what information is given on the diagram. So the very first thing I see is that I've got 2 lines here with arrows on them. That means that I'm working with parallel lines. So I know that AB is parallel to FG. Now that's important because now I can start looking for my shapes. So if I go and have a look at what I have here, well, I can see I've got an F shape. Now you've actually got multiple F shapes, but I've got one F shape there. And the reason that's useful to me is because if I scroll back up to my reasons, is I know that if I have this F shape, I'm working with corresponding angles. And so what I know is that the angles sort of in the corners of the F are equal to each other. So I can now say that X is equal to 110 degrees because they are the angles created in the corners of my F. And so they are what we call corresponding angles. So we would say X is equal to 110 degrees. My reason, corresponding angles. And remember, we always state the parallel lines we're working with. AB parallel to FG. Okay. So I would like you to try one by yourselves as well. I'm jumping a little bit because this is just better for us to do it like this. So take your screenshot of this, and then I want you to try another one for me. Alrighty. So let's have a look at, it says question 4, you can number question 2. Let's have a look at this example here. I would like you to try and tell me the value of X and Y in this diagram. So remember, look out for your parallel lines. I'll help you a bit with that. Our parallel lines here, remember they are the ones with the arrow, would be CD and FG, and then see if you can find that F shape to try and help you. Okay, I'm going to give you a second. Remember your reasons. I do already see some hands, which is awesome. Okay, guys, remember when we're working with parallel lines, we always have to state the parallel lines in our reason. That is really, really important. Okay. So Annalisa, would you like to answer for us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I might be a little bit wrong, but I think at least half of my answers are right.
Cool. Back yourself.
So-
I back you.
So Y would equal 134 degrees because of the corresponding angles, if I'm correct.
Perfect. Well done. Now, what two pairs of parallel lines are you working with there?
Not parallel lines. I think this was the part that I wasn't so sure about.
Okay, so I suppose my question is, which lines formed that F shape that helped you find that Y was corresponding?
Oh, it was C and D and F and G.
Awesome. That's it. So we say that CD is parallel to FG. We just state which lines we're using that are parallel. Well done.
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay, do you want to tell me X?
yes.
Okay.
So since X and the angle that we have are on a straight line, we use the same reason for angles on a straight line.
Good.
So you subtract 134 with 180 and you get 46.
Awesome. Well done. One straight line. Okay, and so continuing that thought, X is equal to 180 minus 134, which is exactly
Yes.
46. Well done. Awesome. Okay, so guys, we looked out for that F shape. We saw our corresponding angles, and we could then go and determine what Y was equal to. Alrighty. Take your screenshots if you need. Right, so that is corresponding angles. We're going to do many more examples, so don't worry. But let's have a look at our second reason that we have here, and we'll do a couple of examples on that one. So the second reason that, or the second sort of interesting thing that happens with parallel lines is the fact that when we have a U shape being formed, the angles at the bottom of my U, when I add them together, give me 180 degrees. So here's my parallel line AB and my parallel line CD. there is my transversal AC, that line sort of cutting the two parallel lines. And so what I see is that these angles are not equal, but when I add angle BAC with angle DCA, I must get 180 degrees. They are what we call supplementary. Not sure if that's how you spell it, but supplementary angles. Okay, so these are what we call co-interior angles. We can sort of think about it like in a U shape, they're both inside the U, so they're co-interior angles, and they must add up to 180 degrees. Again, we always have to give a reason, so we need to be mindful of what that is. It would be co-interior angles, so co-int angles. And again, we always state the parallel lines we are working with. In this case, it was that parallel line AB and CD. It will change depending on the question. Alrighty. So let's have a look at some examples of using co-interior angles. Let's take a screenshot if you need. Right, so let's have a look here at this question over here. So again, we've got A and B that we're wanting to solve for. First thing I do is I look at my diagram and what have I been given? Okay, cool. So I've got a 3A, I've got an A, and I've got a B. Those are all my unknown angles. But what I also see is that I have a pair of parallel lines. Don't like that. BC is parallel to DE. So now I start to look for my shapes. Now there is an F here, if we want to sort of go that route. There is my F shape. So I do know that angle B will be equal to angle 3A. But right now, I can't really do much with that. I still don't have any numbers that I'm working with. So let's go back and say, okay, well, if those are my parallel lines, what other shapes do I get? And what I see is that I have a U shape here. It's a U on its side, so it's more like a C, but it's that U shape. It's that co-interior shape that I'm looking for. Right, so does anyone maybe want to put up their hand and tell me how I could go about solving for A here? Or you can pop it in the chat if you'd like to have a try. I've sort of given you a hint and led you into it.
Yeah, that's a good hint. My pebs, let's do this. Pumzile, we are on you.
Evening, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, I'd like to ask, ma'am, you say that the F, if 3A, if you say the angle 3A, it's equivalent to B. To find the answer of A, we have to say 180 minus 3A.
Why just 3A?
You said F, you said corresponding angles.
Okay,
equivalent. You said corresponding angles. The angles that are down are the same.
Yes, okay, so let's just, yeah, so there's my F shape that we're talking about, just that we can all see. So I agree. 3A is equal to B, right? But I don't have any numbers. So if I can first work out what A is, then I can go and work out what B is. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay, so could you maybe help me or tell me how I could work out A? You don't have to if you don't want to. I'm putting you on the spot.
Ma'am, I was trying to figure out A. The line A and B should make a 180 degree. And I think to get A, you have to say 180 minus 3A.
Okay, so guys, just be careful. And this is quite an important point that has been brought up. So thank you. If we are working with angles on a straight line, they have to be angles right next to each other in order to form 180 degrees. So here, I could work out angles on a straight line with those two angles, or I could work out angles on a straight line with those two angles. But I can't then like chop and change with angles that are next to each other. So I can't, for example, work with 3A and B. They're not right next to each other on the straight line. So I can't use my reason angles on the straight line there. Okay, so I'm going to go back to what I've highlighted in green here. And like I said, we can see that sort of UC shape, however you want to see it. So what we know is that 3A plus A must be equal to 180 degrees because those are co-interior angles. So Pumzile was really close with that 180. We just have to find the right reason with it. So what we see is that 3A plus A must equal to 180 degrees. I'm just going to scroll back up quickly. That is because if I go to my reasons here, when I have that U shape, when I add them together, I must get 180. So looking at my question, my U is just on its side, but I do have a U shape there. So that means that I'm working with co-interior angles. And I always write down my parallel lines, BC parallel to DE. If you wrote it CB parallel to ED, that's fine, as long as the letters are correct for the line. And now I can go and solve for A. So 3A plus A is 4A is equal to 180. And so I want to divide both sides by 4 in order to get A alone. All right. So if I take 180 and I divide it by 4, I get 45 degrees. So that means that, that means that A is equal to 45. Now, what that tells me is that this angle over here is 45 degrees. And this angle up here is 3 times 45 degrees, which is 135. If my maths is serving me well tonight, 135 degrees. So by finding A, I've been able to find two angles in my diagram that I didn't previously know. Now we can go back to that F shape. Actually, there's 2 ways you can do it, but if we go back to the F shape, that's what I have in red. Remember, I said 3A is equal to B because they're corresponding angles. I now know that 3A is 135, so I can say B is also equal to 135 degrees because of corresponding angles. And again, we just state our parallel lines BC and DE. Another way you could have done this, just for those of you who maybe did it slightly differently, you could have used angles on a straight line here.
Just Sam, just before you do that one, could we please just show that A equals to B and that we also just put the A as 45, like this when they take screenshots, it will make sense for them to have a full vision of what's going on. There we go, guys.
And what was the other one? Sorry.
The other one is just that I think this will be understandable because the A is just there and it's 45. So I guess that they will understand that it's 3 times 45 to get 135.
Cool.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. So we could use our co-interior angles and we can use corresponding angles there as well. Okay, we are going to do more practice, but let's have a little break for ourselves. Get up, stretch, move your body. Take your screenshot of this.
Yes, guys, we deserve a break. We deserve that, my pips.
Alrighty,
Let's
so
do this.
remember from Monday, we were struggling with our under the sea sort of picture.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, you will, I don't know what's happening here. You will eventually get it, but it will take a little bit longer to get the values if I don't try and help you. So what we had gotten last week on Monday was the fact that the octopus was equal to 13. So that's where we got. And so I'm going to help you just a smidge by telling you that, what am I going to tell you? I just have to not give too much away, otherwise.
With this what you just said, because we struggle, you should actually just give us an answer, and then like this we can do the fun ones down there.
Okay, I'm going to tell you that the whale is equal to 7.
Okay,
And I'm
that's already-
also going to help a little bit and tell you that your squid, I don't know what that is equal to 16. So that should help a little bit. Hopefully we can get the rest of it.
guys, let's try get this. Okay, I'm also working with you guys. Let's try get it. So teacher Sam, if you can put there on the fish, we can put E, because we already know that the fish is 7 and it represented by E, and also on that squirrel thing or whatever it is. No, but we don't have that on our. No, we don't have. We don't. My peps, we can do this. The crab is 13. I see on the chart that they say that the crab is 13. Does that make sense if the crab is 13?
Okay, well, let's just double check. If we're looking at the crab, we're looking sort of at this column over here. So we want it to equal 31. So far I've got 16 plus 4, which is 20. So what do I still need to add to 20 to get 31?
So they
Cool,
say
right.
11.
So that crab over there is 11, which means that the letter that I've got in my word that I have going on at the bottom there is O.
Guys, who can finish this word?
Okay, I also see.
Let's find out what the fish is, guys. We can do this. Dolphin 10. They say dolphin is 10.
Nice. Okay, so our dolphin up here is 10. We don't have the dolphin in the word, but we can get there.
Guys, then it means that the fish is, someone says 19 on the chat.
Okay, excellent. Well done. 19. Reason I know it's 19 is because when I add those 3 numbers together, remember, I want to get 42. So 10 plus 3 is 23. And I still need to add another 19 to get 42. So that fish there is 19. 19 is the letter A. So A-N.
No. Guys, what would the word be? My peps.
Okay, we're close
but
to
we
the
just
lobster.
Anyone. Is it anyone?
It
Yay!
is.
Someone got it on the chat. I read someone's
done.
answer. Cindy, well done. Cindy Mandala, well done. Congratulations to you. That was
That
great.
lobster up there is 6, which means that this is Y. Well done.
Well done. Anyone was the answer. Oh, we struggle, guys. We struggle. While we are on it, guys, it says parallel lines have so much in common. It's a shame they'll never meet. Do you know that parallel lines like everything that is the same, but actually they will never meet? That's the fun part about it. I found it funny. Okay, it's okay.
Okay.
Very, very fun.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Alrighty,
Okay,
guys. Let us
Mm.
do some examples here. Sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place because it's just better like this. So let us have a look at this question over here. Just another little practice of cointerior angles. I'm very much aware of the fact that I did also have some guess the phrases. That was more just if you decided that you were done with all the fish and you wanted to try something else. Very quickly. Number 1 is right between the eyes. Number 2 is fork in the road. Number 3 is an inside job. And number 4 is undercover cop.
Guys, just quickly take a screenshot. This is good to play with family, okay? So now that you know all of these things, take a screenshot. You can play with family over dinner or something. Ask your little sisters and brothers and even your parents. It will be fun. Enjoy.
Alrighty, okay, so maths. Let's have a look at this question and let's have a look and see what we've got going on here. So I'm going to help a little bit in that let's identify our parallel lines for ourselves. I can see that I've got the parallel line AB and the parallel line DC. So we've got two shapes that we've worked with so far, an F and a U or a C on its side. Here, I don't really have an F because I don't have any lines extending to create like the tail of my F. So maybe I'm going to have to use a U. So have a think. If anyone's feeling up to it, please let me know. I already see some hands. Remember all your reasons. Remember to state those parallel lines. And then Yolanda, when you're ready, I'm ready for an answer.
It's Shyness, my babes. Are the hands up already?
Awesome.
Chokozisi is like, I want to try this. Chokozisi, let's
Awesome.
go, guy.
Ma'am,
Hi.
X is equal to 112.
Okay, why is it equal to 112?
Corresponding angles.
Okay, so remember, we don't have an F shape here. So like, I know that's a horrible color. I do apologize. The only way I can get my corresponding angles is if I have that F shape, and I don't have an F between those two angles over there. Do we agree?
Yes.
Okay, so let's have a look and see what other shapes I maybe have. So if I'm looking at X, just because that's where we started, I've got this U shape over here. So how can I maybe use that U shape to get my answer for X? I'm going to let someone put their hand up if they're feeling like it. Come on, guys. There's already awesome answers on the chat. You guys have got this. Okay, Emmanuel, tell me. See your hand.
I said X plus 63 equals 180 degrees because sum of angles on a straight line equals 180 degrees. And then I said X equals 180 minus 63, and it gave me 117 degrees.
Okay, cool. So just quickly going back to your reason, your answer for X is absolutely fine, but just remember, angles on a straight line, they have to be right next to each other for them to be angles on a straight line. Because this X and 63 aren't next to each other, we can't use angles on a straight line here, but we do have that U shape. So remember, we know that this U shape, if I add the angles together, I should get 180. So I know if I add X plus 63, I should get 180 degrees, but here my reason is actually going to be co-interior angles. Does that make sense? And I realized that Emmanuel's gone, so that's all right. Remember to state your parallel lines, AB parallel to CD. And guys, just remember, angles on a straight line, they have to be right next to each other in order for us to use it. Otherwise, we need to find some other reason or some other way to work out our missing angle. Okay, so we still have Y to do. Does anyone maybe want to tell me what Y is equal to?
Let's go, my people. Let's go, my peps. We can do this. What does Y equals to, my pep?
I'm looking
Any
on the
chat?
chat. I see some
Anything?
answers.
Raise hands to answer. Lekuwe, we haven't heard from you. Uyanda, hey, Riabetsu, where are you guys? What's going on? Kumzile.
Lita.
Carson. Where are you guys? Princess, offense.
Okay, Lolita, tell us. I see your hand.
So, y plus 112 equals 180 degrees because of co-interior angles.
Good.
So, y equals 180 minus 112.
Keep going. I'll catch up.
And that means y equals 68 degrees.
Perfect. Well done. Excellent. Okay, so guys, we can use those co-interior angles again. The U shape I'm now working with is sort of in the other direction. So it's the one I've got there in orange. That's the U I'm working with. And I know that if I add y and 112, I must get 180 degrees. And that's because of co-interior angles. All right, well done.
That was beautifully explained. Well done.
Okay, guys, you're flying. So let's have...
Screenshots.
Oh, yes.
Tips.
Screenshots. Okay, so let's have a look at our last reason here with parallel lines. Sorry, I know I'm a bit all over the place, but we manage. So our last reason here that we work with in parallel lines is alternate angles. So the shape that we sort of look there in our diagrams is an N shape. Sometimes it's on its side. Oh, excuse me. So it looks a bit more like a Z, but basically we're looking for this N/Z shape. And what that tells me is that the angles right in like the corners of the N or the Z, they are equal to each other. So those two angles are equal. Again, we have a reason that we need to be mindful of when working with this. My reason over here would be alt angles. They are alternate angles. And again, as with everything else, we always state the lines that are parallel. Okay, so the third one that we need to know is those alternate angles. It's going to be the Z or the N shape. But let's have a look at how we can put that into practice. So take a screenshot if you need to. And let's have a look. Right, so if we have a look at this question, first thing I always do is look at the information I've been given. So I've been given an angle of 45. I've been given X, so I'm wanting to find X. And I've been given some parallel lines. So I need to see how all of that can help me to find X. And I already see some hands going up, which is awesome.
Okay, let's do this. Nzalama is like, I'm here, ma'am.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, Nzalama, talk to us.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you, ma'am?
Good, and you?
I'm good, ma'am. X equals to
Oh no, your network isn't great. We can't quite hear you. Try again for me.
ma'am, I said X equals to 45 degrees because they are alternate angles.
Wonderful. That was much better. So much clearer. Thank you. Right. So X is equal to 45. Exactly. Alt angles. And remember, state your parallel lines. AB parallel to CD. And guys, if we go back to the diagram, remember it's that ZN shape that I'm looking for. So there is my Z shape, which means that those two angles are equal to each other. And so that's why we knew how to use alternate angles. Right, well done. Take
Well
a
done,
screenshot.
that's beautiful. Screenshots time. Shine, my bibs. Shine.
And let's have a, oh, I'm going to sneeze. Let's have a look at another example here. Sorry, guys.
Bless you. TK,
So sorry.
are you okay over there? Hopefully you're okay, girl.
Alrighty, guys, have a try of this question over here. So identify your parallel lines, see what you're working with, and I'm looking for the value of y. When you're ready, someone can raise a hand and let me know how they did it. Remember your reasons. Remember, if you're using parallel lines, you have to state which parallel lines you're working with. You can pop your answers in the chat. Oh, sorry guys, I just sneezed into all of your ears.
Litabo is like, I'm ready, ma'am. I'm ready. Okay, I'm happy you're good. Okay, we see some answers on the chat. Can I let Litabo answer?
Ready. Awesome,
Okay.
Litabo.
Let's go, Litabo. Let's go. I'm cheering for you.
Ma'am, my equation is 2y equals to 34 degrees. And the reason is alternate angles.
Good. And which parallel lines are you working with?
BA and DC.
Good. Okay, so guys, you can write it BA. You can also write it AB. You can write it CD or DC. It really doesn't matter. Okay, awesome. Keep going, Litabo.
So then we divide by 2 on both sides. So the final answer is going to be y equals to 17.
Awesome. Thank you. Excellent. Well done.
Well done, Litabo. You nailed it.
Okay,
Nailed it.
guys. So that was a bit trickier because we had 2y there rather than just a y. But we knew that because of this Z/sideways N shape, 34 and 2y had to be the same. And so we could set up that equation for ourselves to solve for y. Well done. Okay, take your screenshots if you need to.
Shine, my pips, shine. Big screenshot, guys.
Okay, let's try squeeze in 1 or 2 more before we have a look at our quiz. Okay. So this is, again, a little bit trickier, but have a look at your parallel lines. Have a look at what angles you've been given. And just so that we're very clear, because I realize that these expressions take up a lot of space. This is this angle over here, and this is this angle over here. Alrighty, so 2x plus 10, maybe if you want me to write it out like this, I can say angle BAC is equal to 2x plus 10 degrees, and then angle ACD is equal to 4x minus 10 degrees, just so that you're clear on which angles they are. But have a try of that one for me. And again, raise your hands, put your answers in the chat. If you have questions, please ask. But let's see what we get. Got it, guys. Remember your reasons. Remember to state the parallel lines. It's a little bit trickier, but I know you can do it. You got it. Remember those parallel lines. All right, if and when you're ready. Okay, I see some hands are ready. Give everyone
We are ready, and this question is like hot wings, guys. hot wings. Let's do this. Emmanuel, are you ready? I see that the answers on the chats already.
Awesome. I'm ready.
Okay, Emmanuel, who us away so we can do our quiz?
No, ma'am, never mind.
Hey, Emmanuel, I can help. Just stay on the line. Okay, Litabo is here to the rescue, so it's fine. I was about to bribe you. Okay, Litabo. Teach us. Let's go.
So the equation is 4x minus 10 equals to 2x plus 10. And my reason is alternate angles A, B, and DC.
Yes, well done. Awesome. Okay, keep going.
So then the second step is 4x minus 2x because you collect the like terms.
Good, well done.
Then it's equals to 10 plus 10.
Good.
So then it's 2x equals to 20. And then you divide by 2 on both sides, and the final answer is x equals to 10.
Perfect. Excellent. Well done, Latabo. Thank you.
Little, you nailed that. Like if it was nothing, even the hotness on the wings, it wasn't showing. You nailed it. Joseph, can I give the quiz or you wanna?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, give it. I'm just going to run through this very quickly. So guys, remember alternate angles, we can see that Z shape. So this is the Z shape in green, which means that angle is equal to that angle. So we can form our equation for ourselves and we can go ahead and solve for our unknown. That was quite a tricky one.